Hey guys, I just want to give you an additional video on the Declaration that picks off where the other video leaves off at. Okay, so we're still in the Declaration of Rights section, but I want us, if you have a copy of the Declaration in front of you, this copy that has the numbers on it that I passed out in class, the actual copy of the Declaration, it will help you as we go through this. If you do not have this, you need to get this if you've been out for a while as soon as you return to school. Okay, so let's see. Let me find it. So we're on B2. It's that first line down there. Okay. So we've what Jefferson has talked about so far in the Declaration is the idea that governments are designed to protect rights, that all men have the right to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. If a government fails to protect your rights, then you have the right to change it or overthrow it. Okay, but B2 is where Jefferson gives a warning about overthrowing governments. Okay, so this is where Jefferson gives a warning. So this first part of B2, that first sentence, okay, you need to highlight, underline it, whatever. Okay, basically what this means is prudence. If you want to write above the word prudence, it means common sense. Indeed, will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light and transient causes. Okay, what this is referring to is the idea that, first off, governments long established mean governments that have been around for a long time. Okay, so common sense will dictate or tell that governments that are long established, have been around for a long time, should not be changed for light and transient causes. Now, light causes, okay, let's just ignore this first, these two words here for a second. Light causes. You should not, that governments that have been around for a long time should not be changed for light causes. This means that people should not overthrow a government over small matters. So, for example, if tomorrow our government passes a law that we don't like, Jefferson is saying that the Declaration does not state that, if, we didn't like the law, we're going to overthrow the government. We hate the government now. No, that's not what he's saying in the Declaration. He's saying the exact opposite in this sense. He's saying, yes, if a government is terrible and it's abused your rights, it's neglected your rights, you do have the right to do something about it. But if it's just like a one-time deal and it's really not a big deal, like, hey, the government passed one law you didn't like, or somebody you didn't vote for was elected to office, you should not overthrow the government over something like that. Okay, that's a significant part of this Declaration. Now, this next part, okay, he goes on in the Declaration of Rights, though, and he talks about despotism, okay? So he's kind of stated, like, you shouldn't overthrow the government for no reason. But then he says, and this is in the middle of B2, okay? This part, like, right here. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism. And what is this talking about, okay? Despotism in this case is a government with absolute power that is harsh. Okay, so it's talking about if it has reached, the government has reached a point where it is really taken away from the rights of people and it has absolute power, it's out of control, then the people have the right or the duty to throw off this government. Okay, and that I'll explain that more in the next slide right here. Okay, let's skip the national treasure scene. Okay, so it goes on and says, okay, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. Okay, so here Jefferson is going on about, hey, if the government doesn't do this, then you have a right to do that. Okay, but he takes it to a new level here by saying it is their duty. Okay, now remember, duty, it's like a responsibility. Okay, so you don't just have a right to overthrow your government if it fails to protect your rights. You have a duty as a member of that society to do that. Okay, that's what that's talking about. So to throw off the government and provide new guards for their future security. Okay, the new guards in this case, guards is referring to the government because governments guard or protect our rights. And that's what the security is talking about, the protection of our rights. This next part, the list of grievances, okay, I'm going to exit out of this real quick just so I can see, show you guys. It starts, I wrote it on the top of your handout, it says C, section C, list of grievances. It goes this page, the next page, and the top of the back page, okay? And so what are the list of grievances anyway? Well, a grievance is like a complaint you have with somebody. And so who do you think the colonists are complaining about? Who Jefferson's complaining about? Who is he that they keep referencing? It is King George, okay? And if you look through these specific numbers, okay, I've numbered on the sides, like each line, okay? Then you can see some of the specific events that we've talked about in class where King George and the British and the Parliament had supposedly abused the colonists' rights, okay? So, I'll give you guys some right here that you can use. If you look at line 14, okay, and I'm sorry these are a little bit out of order. For quartering large bodies of armed troops among us. Now, if you recall, after the Boston Tea Party, as part of the Intolerable Acts, Parliament passed a law known as the Quartering Act, okay? So if you need to write Quartering Act beside line 14, do so. Okay, basically the idea of, hey, me and 20 of my British soldier buddies need to crash here for the night or even a month. And, oh, by the way, you have to do it. It's the law. Okay, that is why today, under the Bill of Rights, the Third Amendment, you do not have to quarter soldiers in your house. Okay, it is banned under our Constitution. And they drew inspiration because of this. Okay, now 16, for cutting off our trade with all parts of the world. Okay, this is also related to the Intolerable Acts after the Boston Tea Party. So how did the British cut off the colonist trade? Okay, they shut down Boston Harbor. Now, Boston, about 80% of goods that came in and out of the colonies went through Boston Harbor. Okay, so this is very significant when they shut down this port at Boston. Next part, this is the big one. For imposing taxes on us without our consent. This is 17. Okay? Now, for imposing force and taxes on us without our consent or permission. This is the idea of no taxation without representation. Okay? A lot of you guys missed this on the quiz. Okay? Remember, the colonists were not that mad about the taxes. In fact, they paid 25 times less in taxes than the average British citizen. What they were mad about was this part. Without their consent. They did not consent to the taxes or give permission for the taxes because they did not even have a single representative in Parliament speaking for their concerns. So that is what the idea of no taxation without representation means. On your paper or whatever, if you talk about the grievances and you mention this, okay, you got to explain to me what no taxation without representation means. It means the colonists not have a say or representation in the government when these taxes were being issued, okay? Now, this next part, if you skip down to line 21, 22, where it's saying for suspending our own legislatures, okay? If you get suspended from school, you can't go to school. Okay, remember, this is also related to the Boston Tea Party. After the Boston Tea Party, another part of the Intolerable Acts, okay? The British shut down the local governments in Massachusetts. Remember, colonists have been used to doing their own little thing for a while now. This kind of ticked them off a little bit, okay? Not being able to meet, discuss things, have their own government, okay? Now, 24, you need to star it, highlight it, and if I were you guys, I would write out to the side, hyperbole. Now, if you don't know what hyperbole means, it means an extreme exaggeration. So listen to this. He has plundered our seas, ravaged our coasts, burnt our towns, and destroyed the lives of our people. Okay? So, okay, is King George going down the coast and like physically burning every single town? No. Okay? But they include this because they want to make King George out to be the bad guy. Okay? They're making their case for independence to the world. They want the people of the world to see King George in this really negative light of, oh, he's this evil dude that's killing the colonists, stealing from them, doing all these various things. Okay? Now, real quick, I will go with you guys through the colonist efforts. Okay? So this is basically where Jefferson, this is section D, so we're on the back now. This is where Jefferson tries to show to the people of the world that, hey, the colonists, like, we've tried our best, okay? We've tried our best with the king, and he's rejected every petition we've ever had, okay, for change and peace and all that stuff, okay? So why is this so essential in the Declaration? Well, you got to think. This is kind of like the counterclaim and rebuttal, Because if I'm reading this, okay, the colonists have established, governments are designed to protect rights, the British have abused our rights, but before you full on out declare independence, if I was reading this in, like, let's say France, I was somewhere overseas, I was an impartial third party, which actually France may be a bad example because they hated the British. Let's say Italy. Okay, fine, Italy. Okay, I'm overseas somewhere. My first thought is going to be, have the colonists tried to reconcile with the king peacefully? Have they made their best effort to bring about peace? Okay, so that's a very valid point, and Jefferson answers that in this section. That's where he says in D1, in every stage of these oppressions, we have petitioned for redress in the most humble terms. Our repeated petitions have been answered only by repeated injury. Now, first off, oppressions means like you put down, okay? And so it says we have petitioned for redress in the most humble terms, okay? Redress in this case means change, okay? That is what redress means. Now, this is significant, though. It's a very minor thing, but Jefferson uses the word repeated twice here. Okay, he says our repeated petitions have been answered only by repeated injury. Okay, now, okay, it would have been one thing if he just would have said our repeated petitions have been answered only by injury. Okay, cool. So we know that they've had a lot of petitions if he says that. But by including the word repeated again, he shows that every single petition has been answered by injury, or the king has not taken it seriously. He's abused their rights worse. Every single time the colonists have sought peace. So again, there's this diction here, this word choice, okay, including the word repeated twice. It seems minor, but it's very significant. It drives the point home that, hey, we've tried multiple times to make up with King George, and it is not working, okay? That is what the point that's being driven home here. And then it says, a prince whose character is thus marked by every act which may define a tyrant is unfit to be the ruler of a free people. This is another interesting word choice here. By calling King George a prince, this is an insult to his character. Okay, he's obviously a king. Princes do not have as much power as kings, obviously. So calling him a prince is a huge insult. Okay, and then it calls him a tyrant, and he's unfit to be the ruler of a free people. Okay, so he's not even. Not only are they saying he's not fit to be king, he's not even fit to be a ruler. Period. Okay, the Statement of Independence I'm going to skip over. If you guys have questions about that, just reach out to me. But hopefully this video helped you guys. And if you have any additional questions about the Declaration, which I know I talk kind of fast, it's a good thing about video. You guys can like pause, rewind, see like, okay, what the heck did he just say? But if you're still a little confused, just please reach out to me and I will gladly help you out. Thank you guys.